Didn't hear any of that. Anyhow, that's what you get for muting the mic. Anyhow, if this finds you safe, alive, well, safe, keep your friends, family, the immediate people around you safe. Keep them in. And let's try and fix something at the same time. 1 second, please. Alright, yeah. Set this out, and at the same time, sorry I had to mute. The boss is calling, you know, the kids. We're going to focus on this victim here. Not so much the whole test bench, but what we got going on, because we're kind of a conundrum. So, and we're unmuted. Let's go ahead and get this thing out of here. Alright, so what we're looking at, the story, this is a very janky way to keep a card cool, but when you want to test the card and you don't have the proper fans that work, this is one way you can do it. Make a shroud out of aluminum and attach a bigger fan. Does it cool as well as the 2 fans that come with it? No, probably not. I'll get to actually find out testing this later once I get these fans on. However, the fans that go on it, this one, yes, this one is dead. The one, I think I remembered, the one without the sticker is dead. It's pulled out. They both have basically a housing like this, and the housings clip together, and then the fans sit on the card. I ordered some new ones, so in the meantime, to keep this thing running, I used a little bit of toffee tape to make this back housing stick there to help spread out the air that was missing the actual GPU. A very crazy way to do it, but you know what, it worked. I got to run a few benchmarks with Unity in Heaven and any other benchmarking stuff that I tested it with. So let's continue on and see about getting the fans installed, replacement fans. They actually look like this. They have a blue LED, and they don't, as far as I know, they should have been a direct fit. However, we're going to test that. What do I need? Not Phillips. Let's go ahead and I'm going to pull apart our heat shrink, and also in order to do this, these fans that came in it were 12 volt 0.45 amps, and we'll see what fan I used. basically tin snips, an old lid off of an ancient laptop, whatever they're called, an auto punch to mark where I needed to drill the holes. Compared to these, I used this stuff to mark out with the punch where the holes went, tried to hold it together, made their shroud, and then had to use some of the stock wiring for these fans, as well as a cable that I had made. Right, so the cable that I had made was this one, to go from either 3 or 4 pin fan header, like desktop style fan connector, to this connector, this 4 pin. Which anybody that may have seen the video, we had an all-in-one Dell, I believe, that this fan had died in, and in order to put a similar fan in the Dell, where is it? I had made this connector, possibly it was a different one. Ah, yes, it was. So I have an opposite socket, and same thing. Anyhow, these are stock wires for the, what is this, an XFX AMD or AT, XFX Radeon R7 370. So it's an older GPU, but still usable if you want to do some streaming or something like that. This is stock wiring that was in the back of these units, tucked in. These fans are slightly different, so we'll take a look at that. These ones have allegedly a blue LED. That's yet to be seen. We'll figure that out. We don't have a connector. From what I saw, they didn't offer a connector, but they are the right voltage and they're close to the same amperage. These are 12 volt 0.45 amp. These are 12 volt 0.35. Now we could simply peel up our labels on the back, and let's take a look at our wiring here compared to here. Now it's still going to be 4 pins. There's a LED wired in, and we have the similar markings. We have the positive, the negative, we have the P, and on one the yellow wire is marked S, on the other one it's marked Y. So is it anything different? No, I'm guessing the negative, positive, P is all the same. The Y and the S are going to be the same wire, like signal, or I don't know what they would consider it. Why is it marked Y? No idea. I don't have this connector. What I'm thinking is we need to solder this wire either here. We'll try it here. If that don't work, then we'll pull the connector right at the fan and solder on. These were supposed to be a drop-in replacement for an R7 370 among some other cards, and as far as I know they weren't. I could not find, maybe lack of searching or not searching properly, but I could not find direct replacements. One fan's good, one's bad, so it depends how much we want to mod to get it working. For now, let's pull this 120mm fan off of here. Okay, so pretty sloppily cut. You can see the old lid for the laptop. That was where the front bezel snapped in along that edge. And I do even believe there's part of an HP logo there. Just a small part of it. That was to mount down, indeed, where one of the fans went. So I just caught each end instead of getting all 4 mount points. I needed the room in the center for where this was laying. Kept it cool enough to run and test benchmark. The card seemed stable enough. Now, for pulling these fans out, I could just keep this in and connect the wiring and use one white and one black fan. It'd look a little goofy. One lights up, one don't. What's supposed to light up? But what fun is that going to be? Let's take a look at both white fans. Fairly simple. You just unclip each side, pull your fan out, and get the wiring out of the way. Now, comparing these, they look strikingly similar. The latching mechanism, except for the wiring's a little goofy. And if you compare the leg that the wires go out from the fan, the latches are rotated 90 degrees from each other. So right there, that presents a problem. Once I saw that, I figured there would be more problems, so let's do a stream. Here's the housing that this fits in. It is keyed around the edge. Let's see if we can make this make sense. Around the edge, there are some keyed out spots. I don't know if that's possible to see. And it does have a wide one there and a shallow or skinnier one there. On these fans, you should definitely be able to see the key mark there. And then a wider one on the opposite side. So even though the latches are going the same way, you won't get more than one to clip in because of it being keyed differently. Just rotating the fan lets it do what it was supposed to do easily. Now, this is the good fan. This could be used as a spare in an emergency. Our other one, putting our latches there, we can try it either way. Rotate it 180 and it's still not going to fit. Why this is, we have to find our key marks on the fan. We have a wide one on this side, skinny one on this side, so wide, skinny. Let's check the key marks on our fan housing, so wide and skinny. What it ends up, even though these were supposed to be in the listing, they listed for a R7 370. Our key marks can't go in because we have no holes for the latches. So we got to modify this fan housing. The idea is to do that. That's our end result. It takes a little work, but it can be done. So let's go over how this was achieved. So we line up the key marks for each side, the skinny tab and the wider one. And then we need to take some type of marking tool, a blade, blade would probably be most accurate. We line up our screw holes where our latches should be going in, just like they are on this side, or these corners. And we're going to put a mark. So we have 2 marks there. Don't forget to smack the camera with your head. That is essential anytime you attempt to modify something. Alright, so we're as lined up as we can get. Now it's time to actually put some marks on this thing. We're going to try and keep roughly the same distance away from our screw hole for the marks that we're making on this one. Let's do this where I can cut straight instead of trying to show it straight on camera. Remember, safety, don't cut toward yourself if you can help it. And we have somewhat of an outline for one of the latches for the fan. Let's go for number 2. Oh, wait. Okay. I'm going to try and get the marks in roughly the same spots, right at the edge. How does that compare? Pretty close, as far as I can tell, to our original mark, and then we'll flip this around and do one on this side. Alright, there's one marked out in the opposite corner. Now we just need to clean it out. The problem is we have a few things to clean out. We have to go down the inside, and then we have to clean out this part where the fan actually hits. Move the fans, the GPU, even the old fan that's broken, and our wires. We have our good fan, set it out of the way. We're going to attempt to make some marks running straight down the side on this. fairly straight. See if we can trim those out with a blade. Alright, less steep angle. Another one of those. No, but we do have something close. Looks like it was used with epoxy or glue or something, so let's not forget that. Also, for instance of something breaking, flying, do not forget, I should have said this ahead of time, do not forget to try and find anything, something to make yourself look ridiculous. Some type of eyewear. If you don't have safety goggles, sunglasses will work with a bright light inside, such as we have on our camera. So, yeah, please do try and protect your eyes. Let's go. Attack that from this way, maybe. I like this side better. It's a little less to cut through with our Dremel. I could try and chop this off the top. Try not to cut toward yourself. It's never fun getting an X-Acto knife to the hand or thumb, finger. Face cutters may do the job in this instance. Let's try that. See if we can snip off that part that's right in our way. Okay, and finally we'll transfer our marks down this edge here like we did on the opposite corner. Alright, we have some sort of a guide to follow. Just to put a darker guide there, I'm going to use a small hacksaw. Alright, some fairly heavy lines to follow with the Dremel tool. Let's do the other corner and get the Dremel out. So far so good. Now we just need to change a bit and make another cut. Let me find the chat. I always forget to throw the chat up. It's okay. We only made it to 1. It says it's going out. We'll see if it does. If it down, it down. If it does, it does. It's all fine and dandy. We'll trust that it's going where it says it's going on Restream. Now is the perfect time. If you didn't have the eye protection when using a knife, get something. Sunglasses, safety glasses would be better. Any type of safety glasses for a shooting range. You're going to be cutting small pieces of plastic with a high-speed rotary tool. You don't want any of them pieces of plastic in your eye. And then on top of that, afterward, we're going to be sanding, and it's going to be mowing off little particles of plastic as well. So get something. These fit tighter. Let's try these instead of the big ones that wanted to fall off. Much better fit. There we go. They don't fall off. They're not as dark. This noise isn't going to be very pleasing. Let me turn it on lightly. That's not going to be very pleasing, so we'll just watch. I'm going to go ahead and mute it for now. I guess it is of note to say, if you've never used a Dremel, keep your fingers away from the moving bit. These will cut, and they'll cut quick. The faster you have them running, the quicker they will cut. And especially when you're cutting something like plastic with some type of cutting bit, the plastic is cutting, but it's also melting as it's being cut. Like the small particles have a tendency to melt and freeze the bit in place, so you press a little harder and it can slip very easy. Please be careful when using Dremels. If I've never stated that, we're stating it now. Any tools. Tools hurt. Or can hurt, I should say. Okay, so I was cutting that at a lower speed. This doesn't actually turn on till you hit about 4 on the little gauge here, the little sticker, speed gauge. And right when sometimes it'll turn on at 2. I had it right around 4 for cutting, and it kind of lets the plastic melt into place. And then we have to clean that out with a file. Let's go ahead and cut out the other side. Let me mute it and we'll be right back. Okay, and looks like we got that piece out. We have a slight amount of cleanup to do with, wrong one, let's go there. Clear those out. We're gonna, actually we'll switch back, why not? We're gonna do some filing with a file. Depending on what you're filing, I would recommend safety glasses with a lot of stuff to keep dust, flying particles out of your eyes. Swear, you only get one set of eyes as of right now. Possibly they'll do upgrades in the future, or if you've ever seen Pitch Black, you can swap out whatever. Get them, I forget what process done, for a carton of coal menthols or something. Fiction, of course. Going to take the X-Acto here and trim out some of the melted plastic on the edge. I guess that wasn't Pitch Black. What was that? The third one, where he talked about it with the girl in it, maybe? I don't know. Can't remember. Haven't seen it in a while. Alright, I have a square file here. We're going to attempt to clean out these corners and make the cutout square. That's what I tend to do with a Dremel, is always cut a little less if you can and clean up the edges with some type of tool that you'll have better control with. In a file you should undoubtedly have more control with than a Dremel with a moving bit. Okay, so not as perfect as the factory cuts, but we do have it there. Let's check that it fits the width of our new fan latch. It does, so far. So far so good. We could probably stand to make the hole a little more square. And finally, let's start working on the other side. It seems as though we did go a slight bit much, so we're just going to flatten it out right in the center. If each side dipped a little too low, we'll live with it. I'm going to trim off some of the melted plastic from cutting it. Pull this camera out. It's tough to run out of room. The file on my fist is hitting the edge, so we're going to move it closer. Not perfectly square at all, but not bad. They're still a little less wide than the factory cuts. These are the cuts we made. You can tell by the rounded one there. And this one, these are the ones that are factory. On these corners, this is our mods. Our fan should at least start to want to clip in. We line up the keys, the skinny one. Line up the tabs, and it's still just a bit much. It feels like you could force it in and it might lock in, but it would probably bend the fan housing and the fan would scrape when it spins. So we're going to try and avoid that. We have one further step to go. We have to use a, whatever on the Dremel, what is that, a barrel sander? Or, it's not a disc, it's not really a circular. It's a barrel. Cylindrical sander, whatever you want to call it. We're going to use that. When changing bits on a Dremel, do unplug it. The last thing, and I've made this mistake and learned my lesson probably the second or third time ever using a Dremel years ago. It was even a generic one, like an off-brand in a little aluminum, like tiny aluminum briefcase with a bunch of bits, a small handheld one. I was trying to change the bit and had triggered it on while plugged in. The bit took off. I let go and barely got a scratch, but yeah. Do remember to unplug it when changing out your bit. Safety. Okay, let's plug it in. And we have to do some sanding. I may end up having to mute it. It's not a great sound. Yeah, I think we'll mute this. Give me a moment. Okay, hopefully that's enough. If not, well, I have to go around a little more. It's none of our keys. We got the wide one and the skinny one. I think it may need one other quick round in a few spots to get this fan to sink in nicely. Now mind you, this was supposed to be a direct replacement for the R7 370 GPU, and it's not. So we're going to hit it, it'll flex this way just enough to let it in. We need to clean out a little bit on each edge here. Give me one more moment. Alright, let's see. What is the latest scoop? Does it apply? Does it fit? We want a nice snug fit. We don't want our fan in there rattling away. I see where the problem lies. It's round, but we got to clean out this corner right here. Alright, so barely anything to clean out, but in order to fit it, we had to do it. So let's take, hopefully, our last look. Find the skinny one. There's skinny, and our hole that we cut for the latch. And need we a little more? Possibly, perhaps. Find out where it is. Any of the spots sticking out. Basically because you can't put much pressure here, it's going to go down in where you cut it out. We need, let's take a quick trip the whole way around. We still have the keyways for the keyed part of the fan. I'm going to try and put it in square. Yeah, that's, you can see where it's way out around. We have a little bit to clean out yet here. There. I'm going to say there. We'll hit each of the corners quick. Let's see if it fits. We do have, what's that? Animals on the loose. Give me one moment here. Alright, no such luck yet. We're gonna go for Alright, so without, basically no pressure, just letting it ride back and forth as a, ride on the edge of it as it's spinning, just moving it lightly. So we've barely taken anything out. We'll show you the amount of dust laying there for reference, but yeah, we've barely taken anything out. The keyways for these fans where they lock in was barely anything at all. Now they still can go in where they were supposed to without issue. And is this it? I think that's it. We're going to check that the fan spins freely. It does. I can make the blade hit, but I think, to be fair, yeah, I can make that blade hit as well. So and there we have it. It's locked in, latched in. It's not perfect like from the factory, but it's in there, and it is actually, it's latched. It's not going to pop back out. It's latched on each side on the back. Now we simply need to make our connections. First, let's clean up all this powder and dust from cleaning out. And another thing, I think it's always better to take too little and be able to take a little more than take too much and have it not work at all, and then you gotta find yet another part or get another piece or a new piece of material. So taking the little by little, and that's probably not all. There's probably some pieces on my gloves, some pieces still on the Dremel, but let's see what we got. Alright, so a little bit. It's all plastic. We're going to get rid of that. Did we manage to look absolutely stupid and ridiculous? Of course we did, but you know what? My eyes work. And they still work. That's the important factor here. The eyeballs are still working, no matter how dumb you look. Safety glasses, sunglasses, glasses for shooting, anything. A face shield, like you see when they're doing surgery. Some I've seen those in some workplaces. Other than hospital settings, I've seen them. Like splash guard face shields, yes. So anything to save your eyeballs. That's safety is usually always key. Depending who you ask, some people don't care. Alright, we got a knife. We'll put this away. We'll put that stuff away in a little bit. Alright, let's get our GPU back over here. We have some soldering to do. We knew that. We knew that from the beginning. Well, I did. I don't know. I can't claim that everybody else did, but I knew there was soldering involved in this. And we probably were not going to escape that. We could probably sweep and pick stuff up with tape for a little bit. There's still some minute particles there. Let's give it another quick broom down. Nothing of note, but it would all hurt in your eye, so. So these pieces have little keyed aspects to them, little nubs that stick out. And go in, and then that would be screwed on the GPU. To get the lineup right and everything aligned properly, we're going to take a look at the GPU with this kind of held together, and to see which orientation the XFX needs to go in order to let the fans plug in the proper spot. Alright. Okay, so that definitely won't fit down because of the edge here. It's going to hit on one of our DVI ports. So we know that the open end that's missing part of this little sidewall piece is what has to go up here. Okay, so this fan, the XFX goes back towards where we power it with the dual 6 pins. Very good. So we'll keep the GPU like that, and then we know that this housing goes here. So we'll flip it over and try and line our wires up. And boy, those fans, they're in all the wrong spots. We've got to fish out our wires. So our wires are out, and they did tuck in back behind this and kind of run close to where they were going to be plugged in. So we have some cable management to do as well. We have to check our stock fan that fits in here and see what the story is with it. Which would be this one. Alright, so that went down and plugged in. Tell me they did something other than just route these wires in a goofy manner. Okay, so yeah, they had some serious cable management going on. We'll try and redo that to the best of our ability. And then we'll start soldering wires. So that's how they made the leap from one where the wire went in and plugged in here. So that makes one run, and then we have there's a flat spot on the fan where you can indeed tuck in the cable on this side. And that's where I cleaned it out a little, so there's not much room. If they twisted under it, fair enough. But I really don't think that was the case. I think it was all tucked in, like that's what would make sense. But they both have this odd twist to them. The only thing is with these new fans, the new ones, that gap isn't there on the side because the flat spot on them is in a different position. So do we need to oh, it's on the opposite side. Okay. There still doesn't seem to be enough room, so we're going to make it work some way, somehow. So this was the cable management that we had. Something to that effect before I tore it apart. Never even considered taking a picture. I'm like, oh, it's easy. We'll get it back together in a minute. Not the case. So something like that. And then this wire ran out and plugged in, or it wrapped around, plugged in there. That's one. So what do we do? Do we solder on right at the base or try and go to the edge? It seems like if we're going to put these fans in and they're going to clip in opposite corners, that's taking up some of our tucking in room, but gains us more here. We're going to have to definitely reroute wires. Do we just solder to this part where a clip goes, or do we try and solder inside? I think the soldering under the label will put these wires in about the original position, and that seems like the way to go. But yay for fans that are slightly bigger. Well, fair enough. Let's do it. We'll test it first on the broken one. Alright, we have our Hakko iron here. It's a Hakko FX, what, 951 something or other. Pretty good for soldering. I have no complaints over it. Black, red, yellow, blue. Alright, so let's clamp this in so we can take a decent look at it. And hold it there. We will put our iron to sleep and get under the label. Like I was saying, we have the same markings, the negative, so black, the red, and then the P is the same, but instead we have a Y and an S. I'm going to say Y and S are the same thing. We're going to put this in and let it work there first. Let's see if we can pop out this little circuit board. seems as though there is room to remove the blade out of the way and try and press. Oh, that was too easy. Just press it straight out through. And it snapped back in place. Very good. Now we're going to save this little clamp that came out. It is what was holding that in, and we'll hopefully be able to clamp our wire back in place once we get it there. Let's work on getting this soldered up. And we have one wire to go. Alright. Keeping in mind they're marked on both ends, but on the other end, nope, they actually maintain the same orientation. So black, red, yellow, blue. We're going to try and put these back in the opposite order. It's a shame. New fans said they're a direct replacement, and the picture did look a little different, but hey, if this gets the GPU working with the factory housing, I'm okay with that as well. Alright, you're not being very friendly. Go on their wire. Alright, we'll fix that one later. We're not going to get it perfect, but let's go for the rest. And finally, if it wants to go straight, black. we still have this nightmare blue one here to put down closer. Alright, not perfect, but on. Gonna take a moment, make sure nothing is bridging from pad to pad. That would not be a good situation for any of this stuff. Alright. Done. We melted the label a little. Throw some Kapton tape on there, and let's try and clip our wire in to retain it. In the same neighborhood, that did work, and now we have a wire being held in place there, basically in place there. I don't even think we need any tape, really. We'll check that out later. And let's put one fan in and see if we can get it kind of where it goes. I already know those wires are coming out of there where they were tucked in. I'm fairly confident that is not a happening thing. Nope. Let's move you out of the way. You. Alright, fan in. Fan in, we have little to no space for our wires to make that jump. Okay, so basically there's no room between the edges of the fan to start tucking any wires in. If we did, it's going to press the housing of the fan in because it flexes fairly easy. So we have to come up with some other form of cable management that will be alright and work. I'm going to start with one fan and run it backwards and just see what we can accomplish. I don't see the wiring being any real problem. We'll switch it down to something thinner if we have to, but I'm guessing we're not going to have to. We'll try and get this as taut as possible too, in order to hold anything that needs held in place in place. Actually, If I'm not mistaken, I think that went on that side, around that, and around there. That would make sense. Why would they do that? Alright, so far so good. I think we'll worry about the wires later. I'm gonna set this on and see if there's room for them to set flat under the fan without flexing anything out of place. It seems as though they may be able to do that. Alright, so let's look at this. Let's put a mark on here. I have an idea. Not a great idea, but an idea nonetheless. We're going to take, and from here to here on that piece, we're going to see if we can clean off the outside edge piece. Whether it be sanding or who knows. We're going to try and employ some method to clean it out and make room to tuck both wires in there, if not both, one with one running flat on top. That seems how they want to go for right now. So we're going to pull our fan back out. Another trick I did not employ was cleaning down the edges of the housing, which that I don't want to thin it out too much in case, just in case. If that's going there, it would be the same area, this flat spot here, and I don't think that's really going to be an option, but we'll put marks there just in case. Let's see about cleaning that out some. We're going to move our GPU to keep it free of the insane dust. New fans as much as possible. struggle with this one. What a nightmare. But hey, we're trying it. Let me mute this so we don't hear the grating sound of sanding. So let's think about this from one moment. What do? Do we put a little more relief on this side for the edge of that fan? Seems like it could possibly benefit the situation. So let's give it a shot. Alright. Let's check our fan, see how it fits. Ooh, that plastic's warm. Nice. Perhaps better. Perhaps better rather than not. But we won't know yet. Well, trimming those edges out, it wants to fit in way easier, so that is something to be said. We did gain a little room, however I'm guessing not enough. It would just flex, it's definitely going to flex the housing of the fan if we try and tuck a wire in there. I don't think, boy, do we dare thin up the edge of the fan housing. Let's take a oh wait, it's this side, okay. See, we did lose quite a bit. Let's take a little bit off the edge. Not much, but a tad bit. If I can tuck one wire and run one, then that is very good. If I can tuck both, that's even better, and I know they're not going to be in the way and sitting on the metal blades. What I'm trying to do is keep them away from the metal portion of the heatsink, and I don't want, even though they're wrapped in heat shrink and then their own insulation, I don't want them resting anywhere on metal where vibrations of the fan is going to make the metal rub through. So, better safe than sorry, I suppose. Let's pull our fan quick. Boy, this turned out to be more of a project than I thought. I want to get it wrapped up. Okay, and it is from there to there. We kind of have a flat spot for reference. I don't want to take too much off of that, but we'll take just a little. Alright, that's all it's not much, but it is something. That's all the more I'm willing to sit there and sand and scratch at that. If it gained us anything, I will be amazed. And if not, well, that's where we'll sort it out now. I see it flexing the fan housing easier if we have to clean anything off at that spot. We may have got room for a wire, so with any luck that would be amazing, but I'm not holding my breath. We still have some soldering to do as well. Quick coffee break, people. And switch it back. So we got one in. I'm gonna say good there. I'm gonna smash that wire down in there too tight. We got the little bit of room we were hoping for. Let's see what else. We can do. We'll run that one flat, or perhaps beside it and try and press it down further. Maybe. We'll see when we get there. it's going to be a close fit. We still have soldering to do as well, and this area to sort out here, which is a nightmare on its own, or on its own. Nope. This one has to go to this side. Alright, so let's take note of what we have so far. We have one fan in and soldered, and a wire completely routed to it. Where our screws sit down, it's not going to have any run-ins with where the screws mount it down. So that should be good. This one, we still need to do the soldering on this side and do the insane cable management right there. And then possibly the fan still spins freely. I think we may try and tuck this down just slightly right there, and then we can route both of these wires out here and put them in place with wherever that little rubber block went. So we have that. We literally need to solder for this fan, and I'm gonna call it good there, and we'll figure out how to tuck that in later. Let's get the fan out and get some soldering accomplished on it and call this project done, hopefully. Okay, and same thing, we're going to peel this label further back to keep it out of the way of our iron, hopefully. And we need to unlatch, let's put it back, we need to unlatch our little, whatever this bracket is that held in that little adapter in the back, and then we'll lock our cable back in again the same way. Let's get the soldering done. Alright, how much of a mess can we make? That's the good question here. And we also have to skip this fan and go for our factory one. popping the fan out of the housings generally doesn't work, like trying to swap this white fan blades into this black housing that fit our GPU cooling unit. Yeah, it doesn't typically work that way. Sometimes, not today. Not today. Alright, with our Hacko heated up, we will begin pulling these wires off from right to left. Black, red, yellow, blue. We'll attempt to put that back in a moment. Let's get this one in place. These are all black, but they are labeled in the same manner, which you might be able to actually see. Let's try and get in on that. You can see it's negative, positive, Y, and P, which would be black, red, yellow, and then blue. And the last one, there's still some flux on this board from whenever they assembled it. If you see anything boiling there, that's what it would be. Alright, let's try and get our blue wire on. And this one's the one that's important. It'll anchor the rest in, so hopefully or wherever you're starting the first one, if you can get it lined up. That's if the first one goes bad, just puts me in like a sketchy mood, like, oh no, what am I messing up now? Also, when soldering, you don't want to hold your iron on stuff for too long. These smaller components will really heat up quick. This is almost something you could do with hot air, but I wouldn't recommend it with as thin as the fan blades are unless you could get it all protected, which No, that's just a bad suggestion, I think. I've heard other people say that, and I never bought it. Alright, forget the tweezers. We're going to try and heat it up and go for getting it in there. And that worked. Okay. Not such a bad day after all. Let's go for the yellow. And finally we want our red. I'm going to straighten out a little bit. Just don't want that kink in it too much. The red should fall right in place, hopefully. What is buzzing? What was that? Some kind of feedback. Very well. Let's continue. And finally, the black, which alright, not too shabby. We melted the label slightly. Let's lock our wire in. Put fan back in and see what can we accomplish. Let's check these. I forgot to check to see that they're not bridging each other. It doesn't appear that they are. Can we get in that close with it focusing? It's attempting to. So yeah, it seems, I know it's hard to see in bright light. As far as I can see, none of those are bridged. The red one could stand to be down a little further, which I think I'll do. The soldering iron doesn't take long to heat up, and there's just a little tiny bridge of solder holding it in place. So we're going to try and make the red one go down. Who even knows if this is going to work? Probably not. Did it connect? It connected. But how good? Is it going to come loose and short the fan? Does not appear so. Alright. We have quite a bit of wire, it seems, to tuck in there, so good luck. Alright, fan is in, wires are connected. Hello, my friend. What are you doing over there? And we really just have, wow, a lot of wire to manage to get into not much of a bad place, but we have to change how we had it. Okay, so let's take a look. The last part of this puzzle is this wire is coming off this way, and I think what I'm going to do is attempt to plug them in, which is backwards. Okay, so if we do that, and that gets it plugged in. We don't have much room for cable management on this one. However, we can lose some of that cable. Bring it up. And out. It goes around. Same thing as we did on the other fan. This will come out. Here's just for reference, there's the other one. Let's put those together, and we're going to attempt the similar thing right here. Tuck that in, have that go down, this across the top, tuck it in where they two pieces join together, if possible. And we're going to take up some of our slack by going around that way, and then right there. And I'm gonna say that is our fans. We're gonna set it down on the GPU and screw it in place and try to get it plugged in. We will have enough room to plug that in, so we're going to go ahead. Let's get our screws out. We'll find our bit. Alright, last little bit. Just got to screw this back together. We'll throw our test bench up and give it a test. See if the fans spin. If they do, I'll probably do the temperature testing. I think it was running about 64 or 67 degrees. Should we check that? Really? Okay, that's it. Let's get the bit in place and go for done. Alright, alright, alright. What did I hit? I hit something. Let's go. We have our labels. I don't think they're going to hurt anything. All wires are out of the way as much as possible. I know that's not going in one bit. And then that one is. Nope, not hitting. We need to move the whole unit as one. Line up the rest of the holes. Let's say, hopefully. Let's take a look. That's it. Let's go for it. We will figure it out. Sooner rather than later, hopefully. 2 screws left, plug the fans in. And hope, right? I don't know how blue lights are going to look, if they even work. I really couldn't find direct replacements. Perhaps we can peel the XFX stickers, but not. I'm going to say not a necessity at this moment, or at all really, to pull those and have to put them on the fans. I'm just happy to have it close to done. So here's our remaining challenge. I could have tried to maneuver this in the air and get this plugged in, but I figured I don't want to reroute all that wiring, so we'll plug it in afterward. And that seemed to work. Fans spin freely. So far so good. Let's clear out a work area. For our test bench, we have a few tools to pick up. We can do that afterwards. Finally, we can actually get them off. They're done with. Bigger picture. Alright, we're going to make room for our test bench. Don't break, little fan. You're the good one. I liked you. I've always liked you, little fan. Not like those fans that Flat Earth Santa brought me, but you still could move some air. Get out of here. Some type of connectors, keep them. We may recycle them. Who knows? Plastic pieces out of the way. Equipment turned off. That's good. The test bench. Alright. Test bench it is. We need to we'll flip over there. fans are plugged in, we're going to go around real quick and just check all of these points where it mounts these fan housings down. Alright, all secure. We'll plug in the power for our two 6-pins. We need HDMI. Sorry, but this is going up on the KVM for today. I could get the cam link out. We'll try it. We'll try and do it live. Alright, we have that. Well, let's get some power for the tower portion, or the power supply portion of this. Alright, we've got power, and I guess the important part is we want our fans spinning, right? And then we'll see if it works. Yeah. No go. So, no spin. And they kicked on finally. Once the computer booted, once it started booting, it kicked on. Okay, so I don't like the color blue, but I don't have much choice. It was either that or red. This does have a red theme, but the red said it was definitely not compatible with a Radeon R7 370 card, and you know what, they probably were the compatible ones, and this wouldn't have been anything but popping some fans in and out. But what the heck? Let me get the cam link out. We'll see if we can throw this up on the stream real quick. Alright, one cam link. Plugging in, going for the HDMI. Alright, that's good enough. And let's swap our HDMI over to the stream. And we will see. Can we put the repair on screen? That would be really cool if we could. I feel like the other fan pushed more air. These, I'm going to say, are definitely better suited for cooling the graphics card than that big fan, although the big one did move the air and kept it cool. Watch it work better. I'm going to have to swap it back on. Albeit ridiculous, it did actually work. And there you can see fans still spinning. Looks like they have a wobble depending how you look at them. All's good. Repair. I don't know if this is going to work. We'll try it though. Let me find PC repair. Actually, if it gives me the options. Let's deactivate, activate. That's the wrong one, so we'll try this one now. Deactivate, activate, custom. There it is. Alright, very good. Now, I need the mouse for this computer, not mine. realize there should be a better resolution, and it looks like we have it there. I want to blow it up bigger so I can see it. Okay, let's try it. Definitely AMD Radeon R7 370 series, and then the Intel HD, what, 4600 or whatever it is. So yes, awesome, it works, it's keeping it cool. One last final little thing, we will grab our temp gun. I benchmarked this when running Heaven, Unigen Heaven benchmark, so it's honestly not running a benchmark. It is about 10, let's see, 74, so 60, it's either 64 or 69. It was actually, believe it or not, this test bench scenario computer ran cooler with my mock-up housing that sat on it. This made out of an old laptop lid, 120 millimeter 4-wire PWM fan, pretty thick fan, heavy duty one. Definitely made more noise than the fans that are on the card, especially when ramping up doing benchmarking, but this kept it about 10 degrees cooler. The combination of this with this stuck on with the toffee tape resting over the back of the card to let the air hit and spread air out toward each end of the card. It was about 10 degrees cooler. Not that it's hot. And for the Celsius out there, we are checking the heat pipes at about 23.7. Let's flip back over to our repair. Wrong mouse never ceases to amaze me. Okay, wrong mouse, where is it? And let's go ahead and fire up this. Oh boy, I really can't see that. Let's in Windows settings, we're gonna set a, it doesn't matter what I set it to. Alright, let's just run it and see what happens. It's not a great card by any means, but it is a card. So and then F9 on the keyboard, I suppose. Let's see what happens here. So a little stuttery coming across the cam link, not bad. We're running this benchmark on, and I didn't even see the actual settings, and it's not perfect. There's little glitches here and there, but we'll actually test. Let's go back to Fahrenheit. I'm going to test the heat pipes. So 74.8, 76, definitely climbing in the heat range. I wasn't even up in the 70s. I want to say I was at 64 degrees and made it up to around 69 with this fan on there. Of course, it was big and obnoxious, and I mean, come on, it stuck up a whole, there's the width of the card, basically from here to here. The fan stuck up this much higher from here up that distance, you know, another inch and a half higher than the GPU. So limiting on if you had a thinner case that this was going to set in and didn't have much room on this edge of the GPU coming toward like the sidewall of the case, yeah, you weren't running this crazy heat sink. What do I do though? Put this back on? And if you had to compare, what do you like better? I'm going to say that. Sony camera, why are you so dark? So are you going to go with the blue fan? I like the look better of those fans than this goofy thing, but that was the two options. I ran this till these showed up and we had to mod them. So hey, let's get our Celsius reading. We're part way through the benchmark. The cards had a chance to warm up. The fans have ramped up. I always check around the same spot on the heat pipe. 87.8 degrees. Going to the center where there's no air blowing on it, it's about 92.8. Let's check the heat sink, the actual heat sink down in. It's about 92. We'll go down in the center, that's about 87 right there, dead center. So this fan cold, it mostly cold where the hole, you can see where this block is in the center that mounts down over the die. The die is smaller, but then there's this whole square portion where the heat pipe's running out, like 1.5 inches on each side of it. And then the last heat pipe runs out. That's what the down piece of aluminum was for, to have it deflect air across these pipes out here past where the edges of the 120mm fan were. But it definitely ran cooler the other way around. I mean, some spots were up into 94, 98. So 100 degrees, and I had it down on air in like the 64 to 69 range. Of course, I don't know what benchmark settings I'm running. It could be something insane. Regardless, let's close it and get out of it. Is it up here? Quit. Hit OK. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So there it is. GPU fan replacement. We got them on. It looks a little more factory, a little more stock. I like the look of it better. I'm not wild about the blue, but hey. Project done. Hopefully you have a good evening wherever you are. This was the project for today. I'm going to put these tools away, keep this around in case we need it for some other GPU, or possibly we'll run a test on this one again. It's what, 8 screws? 8 screws to check it? That's not bad, really. So, have a good evening. We're going to end this stream. Thank you for tuning in now and in the future. In the past, people that were watching, have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. If this is your thing, give somebody a hand. Don't forget to like this, share it, get it out there. I'll see you.